The next transition I want to share with you is the drum fill transition. This transition gets used quite a bit in music, and it's really useful for just about any style or any genre of music that you're producing. One place I would recommend going to check out is the Drumeo channel on YouTube. They have drummers come in all the time and perform just on their drum kits, and you can hear how a drummer plays and then how they use drum fills in different ways. So you can get ideas on how you can use that in your music. Another really good source for drum fills is just any kind of bands that have really good drummers. All right, and one place I like to listen to is sometimes some old drum breaks. So I have drum breaks here where they have just the drummer playing and doing his thing, and some of them have some drum fills, and I like to use those and maybe emulate those or even borrow some of those and put them into the tracks that I'm working with sometimes. So a good example is this feel good break right here. So just the very beginning of that, doom, 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 that's a drum fill right there. And then there's another track here called House of the Rising Funk. So you can hear at the very end of that break, he's got some drum rolls and drum fills that he does leading back into the song. So another example I have here is this track that I worked on with some friends of mine called Third Law of Emotion. And in the drum section here, I have some different drum fills leading into some of the different sections. And so I'll solo out the drums and just play you some of those drum fills. All right, and here's what that sounds like with everything else. So you got that da ba da ba doom. Now, sometimes there's a really big crash sound or like a downbeat kind of there, but for this one, I didn't put any kind of downbeat, and I have a few variations on that drum fill later on in the song. All right, so that's a different kind of drum fill, but it's using a lot of the same elements, the kick, the snare, the tom sound. So that's a really good way sometimes to lead into another section, kind of preps the listener and lets them know something new is coming, so that way they want to stick around and hear what else is coming. So drum fills are a great way to kind of add a transition into your track and kind of keep people engaged and keep them listening. I have another example of using a drum fill to kind of transition from one section to the next in more of a dance track. So inside of here, I have a bit of a breakdown section that leads back into when the drums kind of kick in again. And this breakdown section's over here, and this snare section right here is kind of the drum fill that leads back into the drum beat when the kick drops back in. So I'll play it from part of the breakdown leading into the drum beat again. So you can hear that you don't have to get super intricate with it with lots of extra different drum sounds. Sometimes you can use something as simple as just a snare sound and chop up the audio and place it in here so that it creates a sort of build-up leading into another section. So those are some examples of some drum fills that you can use in your track, and I could probably spend way more time showing you tons of different examples, but like I said, you can check out Drumeo, listen to drummers in rock bands, listen to drummers in funk bands and R&B bands, listen to other producers and how they produce their drums and see how they use drum fills to go from one section to the next. There's tons of examples out there in all these kinds of different music that you can use inside of your own music.